So for this one, you should have taken those two and subtracted. So it says the experimental piece of it was 1.13. That's what they actually got when they experimented. The actual density or the known was 1.0. So to get the percent difference or the percent experimental error, rather, you take these two and subtract them. And then to make that a percent error, you divide by the known, which is the 1. And so when you did this, you should have gotten 0.13 as the difference and 13% as the percent. All right, that was your formula. You subtract the two of these, that's the absolute value of these two to get your experimental error, and then you divide by the known to get your percent error. The second one the student determines 4 grams of helium occupies this volume. He repeats the experiment and determines the volume to be this, the percent difference. That formula is on page 119. He did 2 different experiments. The first time he got the 22.75. The second time he got the 22.90. So you should have subtracted those two and then divided by the average of them. Remember, you add and divide by 2. So your formula is to subtract the 2 experiments, experiment 1 minus experiment 2, and you divide by the average of those, which is just the 2 added together divided by 2. That's what your denominator is. And when you do that, you should have gotten 0.7%. 0.7%. So they give you a whole list of terms here on page 122, just definitions that you need to know what they're talking about so that when they ask for a specific item, you'll know what to give them. The cost is the amount a merchant pays for the merchandise he will sell. That is the cost to the person selling it. The markup is the amount the merchant adds to his cost to get to the retail price. The markup rate is the amount of markup on an item as a percent of cost. So let's talk about these 3. A business buys something for a specific cost. That is the cost of the item to the merchant. And that's when they refer to cost, they're not talking about cost to the consumer. They're talking about cost to the person selling it. The markup is an amount. So they take something for $10 and they add $3 to it. $3 is the markup. They purchase for $10. They add $3 to it, which is the markup amount. The markup rate is just a percentage. So if I bought it for $10 and I added 3 to the cost, the markup was 3, but the markup rate is going to be the markup divided by what I paid for it. So that's the percentage of what I marked it up. All right. Now let's look at the retail piece of it. The retail price then is what the consumer pays for it. So if I bought it for $10 and I added $3 to it, I am selling it for $13. That is the retail. That's the retail price, okay? So you take the cost plus the markup and you will get the retail. On top of that, we can have discounts. So let's say I sell them for $13 and it's getting to the end of the season and I need to get rid of them. I can do a discount rate. So that is actually based off the retail price. If I take 10% off these $13 shirts, I'm going to take it off the $13. It has nothing really to do with my cost at this point. It has to do with what I have been selling them for. That's the discount amount, which we typically understand. The discount rate is the percentage. The discount amount is the dollar amount. So those are 2 different things. Just like markup is the dollar amount they add to it, markup rate is the percentage of what the markup was. Discount is the dollar amount. Discount rate is the percentage. So one is talking about the number of dollars. One is talking about the percentage related to the retail. And then the sale price, that is if I take the original retail and I subtract the discount, the dollars. Then I have a sale price. All right, I have a sale price. So they're going to be throwing these terms at you and you need to think about what they're asking for based on these definitions. All right, let's look at some examples. Tom and Harry's Sporting Goods marks up all clothing 75%. If their cost for a shirt is $15, what retail price will Richard have to pay? So Richard is the consumer. He is the guy buying it. They are telling me that they mark all of their clothing up 75%. So they have given me the markup rate. They have given me the markup rate. All right. So if I know what they paid for it, which was $15 is their cost, in order to find out what the markup amount is, I have to multiply that by the markup rate. The markup rate is 75%, which remember we always do as decimals. So I'm going to multiply that and I'm going to get $11.25. Now clearly, this is not the retail price or they would be losing money on these, right? This is how much they're marking it up. They're marking it up 75%. That's the amount of dollars they're adding to their cost. So if I want to figure out what this guy is going to have to pay for it, I'm going to take the original $15 that was the cost, and I'm going to add to it the $11.25 that they are marking it up, and I will get $26.25. That is the retail price. So I have found I know several things here. I know the cost. I know the markup rate. I know the markup, which is the markup amount, right? And I know the retail price. All from the information that they gave me, all right? All from the information that they gave me. This says, determine the retail price of a tennis racket if Paulo saved $52.50 by buying it during the 30% off sale. How much did he pay for the racket on sale? All right. We know how much he saved, and we know the percentage that it was off. All right. So if I know the dollar amount that he saved, then I know how many dollars they took off. So basically what I have been told is I have been told the discount amount and the discount rate. What I'm trying to figure out is the retail price. So let's think through this. I do not know retail price. So retail price is going to be what I am looking for. That's what they're asking for. How do I know that? Well, it says determine retail price. That's pretty clear. All right, so retail price is what I want to know. Now I have to think about how would I get the discount amount? If you are buying some sort of sweater, let's say we have a sweater that's normally $100 and they say it's 30% off. Well, how do you calculate how many dollars off? Well, you take the $100 and you multiply by the 30%, right? And then you figure out how many dollars off it is, right? Which is $30 off. So what they've given me is they've given me that percent and the dollars off. So I don't know the retail. If I knew the retail, I would say, well, it's going to be the retail times the discount percentage. And that will give me the discount amount. Does that make sense? $100 is the retail, 30% is how much off. If I multiply those, I get the $30 to figure out how much it's off. So which pieces did they give me here? Well, they gave me the discount percentage, didn't they? What's the discount percentage that this thing was on sale for? 0.30. Yeah, 30%. So yes, say I'm going to use 0.30 here. All right. They also gave me the discount amount. How many dollars did he save? Well, he saved $52.50. So the only thing I don't know is that R. What's happening between the R and the 30%? I'm multiplying. I have to do the inverse here. So in order to solve for this R, what do I need to do? I'm currently multiplying. Yep. So I'm going to divide by this 0.30. So take $52.20 and divide by the 30% or the 0.3. $175. All right. Now, determine the retail price. We have done that. Did we fully answer this? What else do they want to know? There's one more thing they want to know here. How much did he pay for it on sale? We found the retail amounts. That was the first thing they said, determine the retail amount. But then they also want to know what he paid for it. Well, we know he saved how much money? 30. Yeah, he saved $52, 30% of it, which was $52. So we can take the original retail and we can subtract the dollar amount that we know he saved on it. So it's $122. Yeah, and 50 cents. All right. That is the sale price. That's the sale price. This is the retail. That answers the first question. This answers the second. 2 questions there that they ask us. All right, so you do want to go back and make sure that you've answered all the questions, because you could get to this point and think you're done and you haven't actually answered the final question. This one says, determine the retail price of a pair of running shoes and the discount if they are 40% off and have a sale price of $54. Okay, so this is very similar to the one we just did. We know the sale price, right? How much is the sale price?
$54.
All right, so $54. All right. We know how much they were discounted. 40%. 40% of what? Of what? The retail, right? So we know they paid for it. Now, how do I find the sale price? I take the original retail amount, and what do I do to it? I subtract out the discount amount, right? Yes? Do I know the retail or the discount amount? I know the percentage, right? All right, now here's the thing. They gave us this 40% off. That's how much we took off of it, okay? Then they told us what we actually paid for it. If they took off 40%, what percent did we actually pay?
6.
Why do we know we paid 60? Because it has that up to what? It has it up to 100 or one whole, right? And so the $54 does not equal 40% times the retail. That would be the discount, right? The $54 actually equals 60% of the retail amount, because that's what we paid for it. They didn't tell us what they took off. They told us what we paid for it. We paid for 60% of it because they took 40% off. Does that make sense? So here, they told us how much they took off. Well, we don't know the retail or the discount. So we can't take an amount and subtract another amount to get that 54 because we don't know either one of those amounts, right? They also are not asking us, they didn't give us the discount dollars. If they had said 54 is how much they took off, then you would just say, well, that must be 40% of the retail. They said 54 is what you paid for it. You did not pay for 40% of it. You paid for 60% of it. They took 40 off, which left 60%, okay? So if I want to solve for this one, I need to say I paid $54, which was 60% of the original retail that I do not know. Does that make sense? So they gave us 2 different things on this one. On the last one, they gave us the discount dollars, and then we could just divide by the discount percentage. But here, they told us what we ended up paying for it, which was what was left over after the discount, okay? So for this one, I actually divide by the 60%, or the 0.6. What happens when I divide 54 by 0.6? So if I divide both sides there by that 0.60, what do I get? What was my retail amount? That's $90, all right? So we have determined the retail price. We've answered that piece of it. Did they ask for anything else? Yeah, they also asked for the discount, right? I know he paid $54. I know the original amount was $90. How do I figure out how much money they took off? Just subtract, right? I know the retail was 90. He paid 54. How many dollars did they take off? That's the discount. So for the discount amount, I'm going to say $90 minus $54. What discount did they give him? $36 off was the discount. All right. You can check this. Is 36 40% of 90? Is 54 60% of 90? If those work, then you did it correctly. All right. Make sense? So what you're going to do is you're going to do this chart here. They gave us several different scenarios here. This first one, they gave you the cost and they gave you the retail price. They want to know the markup amount. So how many dollars did they go from cost to retail? And the markup rate. What is that percentage rate of dollars compared to cost? All right. Here they gave you the cost and the markup amount. They want to know the percent it was marked up and the retail price that they sold it for. For discounts, here they gave you the retail price, the discount rate. They want to know how many dollars they took off of it and what the final sale price was. Here they gave you the retail and the sale price. They want to know how many dollars they took off and the percent rate it was off. So try all four of those. Some more definitions that you need to be aware of. A tip is the amount paid for personal service. If you've ever been to a restaurant, you probably know what a tip is, all right? Commission is similar to a tip, but it's also, because it's also based on the amount of a sale, but the commissions are usually set by the employer. All right, so tip is something that a customer typically will pay on top of a bill. A commission is something the employer pays on top of like a sale. But they are both multiplied by something to get it. So a tip is typically a percentage of the amount of the meal. And a commission is a percentage, is based on a percentage of the amount of the sale. So these are both dollar amounts. If I say, what is the tip? You would say we tipped $12, right? But that is based on the percentage of what the meal cost. If they say, what is the commission? They're talking about the dollar amount. The commission was $300, but it's based on a percentage of a sale, okay? The rate is that percent. So if they ask for the rate, the commission rate, or the rate or percent of the tip, then you're talking about the actual percent amount versus the dollar amount. So if they say tip or commission, they're asking for a dollar amount. If they say the rate, they're talking about a percent that they're asking for, all right? So let's look at these examples here. Find Jeff's commission rate of his total sales of electronic equipment for the month worth $8,250, and his gross income for the month was $3,660. This includes a monthly salary of $2,175. So let's talk about everything they gave us here. Some terms that you may not be familiar with. Gross income is the total amount that's paid. Specifically, this is before taxes, okay? So gross is like what your paycheck says before the government takes out all the taxes or anything else is taken out. It's the gross amount paid. In this particular case, he has a monthly salary. So no matter what he sells, he gets $2,175 a month. That is a flat amount. It is not affected by his sales at all. So he is going to get that every single month. So we are just going to go ahead and assume that he gets this $2,175. But on top of that, he gets commission. So you take your base or your monthly salary here and you add your commission. All right? We actually don't know his commission. But we know it is some percentage of what he sold. And we do know what he sold. So what did he sell? $8,250, right? And if we take that $8,250 and we multiply it by his rate, his commission rate, that will be what he got paid in commission. Now to figure out what he got for his total, we're going to add his salary and his commission, and that will give us his gross. So what was his gross? Well, they told us. It was $3,660. Does everybody see how I set that up? You have a flat amount that you get paid all the time. Then you get a commission. That's a percentage of what you sold. If you add those two together, you get your gross. So if I were a waitress, the waitress gets an hourly rate, right? No matter what she does, she's going to get paid so much per hour, all right? Then, based on her service, she will get tips. So if you take what she makes plus her tips, that will be her total paycheck. Same with salespeople, car salesman. He might get a monthly salary plus a commission, and that's going to be what he gets total. Or some people just work on commission. Just depends on how it's set up. All right? So in this case, they told us that he got a certain amount and that he gets commission, and then those two added together equal the total. So now I actually have an equation that I should be able to solve at this point in my math life, okay? This is a two-step equation. What's the first thing I need to do to solve this? If I have a number plus something times r equals something, what's the first thing I need to get rid of? Yeah, the number that does not have the r, right? So I need to subtract this 2175 over, right? Subtract 2175. On this left-hand side, it cancels. I have this 8,250 times my rate equals, what do I get when I subtract this? Hopefully. Yes, 1485. All right, 1,450. One more step to figure out what his commission rate is. What was his commission rate? How do I solve it? What do I do here? What's happening between that number and the r? Multiplication. So what do I do to solve for it? Divide 8250. Go ahead and take 1,485 divided by 8250. You should get a decimal. All right. 0.18, so his commission rate is 18%. Find Jeff's commission rate. Did we answer everything they wanted us to answer? Yeah, they didn't ask for anything else. His commission rate is 18%. So every month he's going to get $2,175 plus 18% of whatever he sells. And that will be his monthly paycheck. All right? So for this first one, they gave you the bill, they gave you the tip rate. They wanted you to round to the nearest nickel, so the nearest in terms of 5, right? I mean, that's what a nickel is. So you should have taken $17.25 and multiplied by 0.15 to get your $2.60, all right? Here, they gave you the commission. Now, the commission equals 17% of what was sold, which is what you're actually solving for. So here you needed to divide. Okay, you needed to say, well, if I take the sales and I multiply by this 0.175, I should get the commission. Multiplication is what's happening here. The inverse here is division, so divide both sides by the 0.175, and you should have gotten $132,050. Christopher invests the same amount of money in each of 2 accounts and receives a total of $36 interest at the end of 1 year. If the account earns 5% and 7%, the 2 accounts do, how much was invested in each account? Do we know how much was invested? No. So we are going to apply a variable to that, and I'm just going to write an x. X equals the amount invested. All right, we know how much he earns, okay? He earns 5% on the first account. So if I want to say 5% of the amount he invested, how do I write that? Of always means multiplication, right? So 5% in decimal is 0.05. Of would be multiplication. That's how much he earns on the first account, 5% of what he invested. How much does he earn on the second account? 7%, right? 0.07, yes, of what he invested. And they said he invested the same amount in both accounts, right? How much did he earn altogether? Do we know the dollar amount? Yes, we know that he earned $36. That's on both accounts. So how do I figure that out? Well, I take how much he earned on the first one and I add it to how much he earned on the second one. And that's going to equal how much he earned altogether. Right? He earned 5% on the first, 7% on the second, and altogether $36. All right? We're trying to figure out how much he invested, which is our x variable. I have an equation I can solve. I have two of the same terms. How do I do two of the same terms? I just add them, right? So what is 0.05 plus 0.07? 0.12. What's happening between the 0.12 and the x? Multiplication. How do I solve? Divide. What happens when I do 36 divided by 0.12? I get what? 300. 300. He invested $300 in each account. You can figure out if that's true. Do 5% of 300. Do 7% of 300. Add them together, you should get $36. All right? All right, let's talk about this. He invested $7,500 at one rate. Do we know what that rate is? Do we know the rate? No. We're going to write a variable for that, okay? So we know that we're going to take that $7,500 and multiply it by the rate to get how much he earned there. All right? Then he took $6,200 at a different rate. Do we know that rate? No, but it's not the same because if we read on, the second investment is 2% lower than the first. What am I going to do here? It's my rate minus what? 2, right? Does that make sense? My rate minus 2. So he's going to do this one at my rate minus 2. Okay, my rate minus 2. Now, think about it this way. If we have, let's say this was 6%. If it's 2%, this would be 4%. Does that make sense? So if they'd given us the first rate and said it's 2% lower, we would just subtract 2% from it, right? So that's why I did x and x minus 2, because they told us it was 2% lower. All right, and it's all in percent. So this second one is going to be 6,200 times 2% lower. All right, let's see what it says. His combined annual interest income is $698. So if I add what he earned from the first and add what he earned from the second, I will get $698. Does everybody see how I set that up? Now here's the only thing I want to point out. Because this is in percentage, all right, percentage, what do I need to do that to?
Make it a decimal, so the 0.02.
Right. So when you actually do your math here, you want to say 7,500 times x plus 6,200 times x minus 0.02. All right? And that will equal my $698. How do I solve this? What's my first step? Question. What's my first step here? How do I need to get rid of that